There's a man in The Sopranos I have never been able to be honest about. He beat somebody half to death outside a bar in Little Italy and urinated on him in the street. And the man ended up in intensive care. He had a woman in his own organization hunted through her own house and shot on the floor of it. He gave a rival the nod to murder his own boss. And when he walks into a scene, I sit up in my chair. I've spent a while now trying to work out what's wrong with me. This is what I found. Everybody who loves this show understands the deal David Chase made with us. He spends 86 episodes making you fond of somebody, and then he holds your face against the glass while they do something you can't forgive. I've made my peace with that where most of them are concerned. Tony, Paulie, Christopher, Ralph. The show got me. I can see exactly how it got me, and I can live with it. John Sacrimoni is the one I can't account for. Underboss of the Lupertazzi crime family. Carmine's right hand. A man who started out driving the boss around and climbed from there. Something I had wrong for years, by the way. I always thought he arrived in season 2. He's there in season 1, episode 6, sitting down with Junior Soprano outside Satrial's, representing Hesh. He stays a guest star for 3 whole seasons. He only joins the main cast in season 4. Tony calls him a pragmatist, and for a long stretch that's exactly right. He's who you phone when a room gets too hot. He's the adult in an organization run almost entirely by men having tantrums about their mothers. Ask around online and you'll get 4 reasons people love him. I've given all 4 of them myself, at parties, with total confidence. I now think all 4 are true, and all 4 are cover stories.
Let me lay it out properly, because I believe every word of it. He doesn't cheat. In a world where a mistress comes standard with the job, John Sacrimoni goes home. Him and Bobby Bacalieri are the only 2 wise guys in the entire run implied to stay faithful. 2 out of all of them. Then there's Ginny, and Ginny Sacrimoni is the cruelest test this show ever set a man, because she's overweight in a culture that treats a wife's body as a status object. Every man around Johnny looks at her and sees material. Johnny looks at her and sees his wife. The scene that does it for me is in season 4. He's already left the house, doubles back for a sweater, and catches Ginny down in the basement laundry room with a hidden stash of junk food. What the hell is this? I thought you were on the Atkins. He's furious with her, and then the whole thing turns, and what comes out of him is that he doesn't care what she weighs. Never has. The lying is what wounded him. I have rewatched that scene more times than I'd like to put on record. Meanwhile, in the marriage this show actually lives inside, Tony's infidelity is a load-bearing wall. Then there's how he carries himself. The overcoats, the Mercedes, and later the Maserati. He moves like an executive vice president at a merchant bank who came up on the street and never quite sanded it off. And the cigarettes. I'll just say it. Nobody in the history of television has smoked like that man smokes. And he's funny. He owns the best escalation in the cast, where a sentence starts at room temperature and finishes somewhere near the surface of the sun. Tony floats the idea of him splitting the boss title with little Carmine, and what comes back is, what's this? The fucking UN now? Here's a small thing that tells you how far he traveled. When Breaking Bad needed a name for their smooth, soft-spoken cartel executive, they reportedly tipped their hat to him, Juan Bolsa. Juan is John. Bolsa is Spanish for bag, which reads very differently to me now, given what season 4 does to him. Ralph Cifaretto tells a joke at a birthday dinner. Ginny Sack, he says, is having a 95-pound mole taken off her backside. Paulie Walnuts is sitting in a cell on a gun charge, feeling forgotten by his own crew, and he carries it across the river, and the pragmatist is gone. Johnny's in a bar in Little Italy, and he clocks Donnie K, a low-level guy from Ralph's crew, laughing with somebody about something else entirely. Johnny follows him out to his car, beats him unconscious, and urinates on him. Tony's report on it afterwards is that the kid is in intensive care. I forget Donnie K exists between rewatches. I think that's part of what I'm getting at here. Then Johnny goes to Carmine and asks permission to kill a made man over a joke. And there's a detail in that scene I've come to love, because it's so human it aches. When he repeats the joke to Carmine, he gets it wrong. 90 pounds, he says. Ralph said 95. He's been carrying this thing around for days, turning it over, letting it eat him, and he can't quote it properly. He then has to explain the joke, out loud, to a confused old man, and he wants somebody dead over it. Carmine says no, and offers to tax Ralph instead. 200 grand. Johnny's response? What's next? He gets to fuck her for $1 million? Carmine, entirely lost. He wants to fuck her? So Carmine calls a sit down. Johnny walks out rather than share a room with Ralph. Carmine calls another one, Ralph absent this time,
And that's where Tony makes him the offer. Bring me whoever told you. Let him corroborate it, and I'll give you Ralph on a platter. Johnny turns it down. Polly stays protected. Then, after refusing that, Johnny has Joey Peeps track Ralph down in Florida and puts a contractor on him. I want to be careful because the show never opens him up and tells us what's running through him, but the shape of it is plain enough. He was offered the man who insulted his wife, legitimately, in front of witnesses, and the price was one name. He kept the name and went outside the rules instead. What stops the hit is a sweater. He forgets one, turns the car around, finds Ginny in the laundry room, and calls it off. It's a beautiful scene. It's also pure luck, and it runs both ways, because Carmine had already given Tony the nod to kill Johnny. Johnny was driving to Boston to see his father, and there were men waiting for him there. A sweater saved 2 lives that afternoon, and neither man ever found out. Then, the rest of the ledger. He'd handed Tony the go-ahead to kill Carmine Sr. Tony took a settlement and quietly canceled it, and Carmine died of a stroke 2 years later. So Johnny carries the intention without ever having to carry the act. Lorraine Caluzzo kept paying her tribute up to little Carmine instead of him, so Johnny had her dealt with. Billy Leotardo and Joey Peeps went to her house, shot her partner Jason while she was in the shower, and when she came out and found the body, they chased her through her own home and shot her on the floor. And that one circles back, which is the part that stays with me. Joey Peeps, Johnny's own man, the kid he says he picked out of the chorus and schooled himself, gets killed in revenge for Lorraine. The murder Johnny ordered is what takes his favorite away from him. At the funeral, he's shaking with it, and Tony tells him to go over there, shake little Carmine's hand, and let it die. Shake his hand? And he kisses the kid's mother? Tony's answer is flat. That's the way it works. So that should settle it. I can recite the charges from memory at this point, and I still light up when he walks into a scene, which is where I finally got somewhere, sitting up at 2 in the morning feeling fairly stupid about it. I have never seen Johnny Sack work, and I want to be precise, because he obviously has people. Phil Leotardo, Jimmy Petrile, Joey Peeps, Billy Leotardo, they're right there on screen. And Lorraine Caluzzo died at the end of an order that ran down that chain. What I've never seen is an ordinary working day. Think about where the camera meets him. Negotiating tables, dinner tables, a golf course, his daughter's wedding, a prison corridor. Every room I've ever seen the man in is a room where the socially competent version of him is the only version on offer. Now think about where the camera meets Tony, the back of the Bing at 4 in the morning, in a car, screaming, standing over somebody who owes him money, sat in Melfi's office explaining himself badly for the 200th time. I couldn't tell you who dreads Johnny's phone call, who he quietly ruins on a wet Tuesday in February, what he's like with a man who's short that week. Some of that is arithmetic. He's in roughly a third of the show's 86 episodes. Every appearance has to earn its keep. So what I get is the coat, the cigarette, the one-word phone greeting, the escalation. He's allowed to be charismatic without ever building up a record. There's one moment that pushes back on this, and I should be straight about it. Season 6. Johnny is out for 6 hours, supervised, on furlough, at his daughter's wedding. And somewhere inside those 6 hours, he leans across a table and asks Tony, as a personal favor, to have Rusty Millio killed. In code, marshals standing around them. Then they take him back, and I forgive him for the rest of the series. He'd already tried once, through Phil, and Tony said no. So this is the second ask, and he makes it himself at his daughter's wedding. And even there, watch it again. I never see Johnny arrange a thing. I watch Tony take the request and fly 2 men in from Naples. Johnny asks, Tony does. Even his last murder reaches me through somebody else's hands. And the episode is called Mr. and Mrs. John Sacrimoni Request. That's wedding invitation language. Chase knew exactly what else got requested that day. I know Tony far too well to like him. 86 episodes of documentation will do that to anybody. It's also why Johnny plays chess while Tony plays checkers has hung around so long. Even though the man's decisions are a car crash, he nearly gets himself killed over a fat joke he can't quote correctly. He can't make peace with little Carmine when peace is cheap and sitting in front of him. He starts a war loud enough to walk the FBI into his own living room. That's a man with excellent posture making catastrophic choices.
Because I only ever watch him arrive somewhere and leave again, the outcomes look like strategy from where I'm sitting. Here's where I landed, and I'll say it plainly. The show gave Johnny Sack a better edit than it gave anybody else in it, and I fell for it completely. There's a second half to this, and it's the part that still gets me. Tony never pays. That's the engine of the entire series. Livia is lined up to testify against him over a stolen airline ticket scam, and she dies in her sleep before it can happen. And Tony sits in Melfi's office and says relief flooded into his veins. He takes a bullet in the stomach from a demented uncle and comes back out of the coma. Now look at what the same show does to John Sacrimoni. Little Carmine steps aside near the end of season 5. Johnny finally has the family, and in the very next episode, the finale, the FBI comes for him at his own house. Tony is standing right there. They had only just made peace. Tony goes out the back, throws his gun into the snow, runs through the suburbs, and his lawyer phones to tell him he wasn't even mentioned in the indictment. Same house, same minute. One of them in handcuffs, one of them absolutely fine. I don't think this show ever gave me a cleaner picture of its own moral weather than that. The man who gave him up turns out to be Jimmy Petrilli, his consigliere, his friend, feeding the FBI since the early 80s. After that, it's just subtraction, and Chase takes his time with it. 6 hours of supervised release for his daughter Allegra's wedding, and Johnny pays for the marshals guarding him out of his own pocket. They drag him out before it's finished, in handcuffs, and he cries in front of every man he's ever wanted to impress. Phil Leotardo's verdict? His estimation of John Sacrimoni as a man just plummeted. His house goes to Janice and Bobby at half price in a deal Tony brokers. He takes 15 years and a $4.1 million fine and the allocution that comes with it. He gives up nobody, not one name. What finishes him is saying out loud in a courtroom that the thing exists at all, then the cancer. He tells a U.S. Marshal that he quit smoking after 38 years. Exercised, ate right, and for what? And the marshal says, even still, it was the right move. The episode is called Stage 5. In it, a doctor tells him he's at stage 4, and Johnny says it himself. There is no stage 5. He dies with Ginny and both his girls at the bedside. His last word is mom. I've thought a lot about why that lands harder on me than any other death in the series. I think it's because he's the only one Chase takes apart piece by piece while I sit and watch. Rank, house, dignity, health, legacy, friendship. In order, slowly, on camera. He beat a man in the street. He had the killing ordered. He got handed a chance to trade one name for his wife's honor, and he kept the name. All of it stands, and I'm not arguing with a word of it. I watched this show take everything off him, one piece at a time, and I was never once made to sit through the work that earned it. The camera chose what I was allowed to see, and my heart went wherever the camera pointed. So talk to me in the comments. Give me the one scene that made you love Johnny Sack. And then be honest with me. Would you still love him if Chase had given us a single episode inside his crew? I've got a horrible feeling I know my own answer.